Okay, so first step of a project to make, I guess, the underside of what's under here and the compartments that are sort of scattered around accessible is to cut out the ply. This is just scrap out at home. Fits extremely snugly to the point where I needed to actually bring it in from the back seats because I couldn't get it in any other way, which is pretty much perfect well after I sand it down a little bit. So the next stage is going to be to try and measure out where I need to cut out here, which I think is going to be quite difficult. I was considering getting some clear plastic and tracing it out, but I might try and draw up a mock sketch on one of these two sheets of ply. So one set of hole, one cutout's going to be slightly bigger than the other one. The slightly bigger one will be the top layer, the slightly smaller cutout will be the bottom, and then hopefully this piece I cut out can just sit in there and put a little hole, and I'll be able to lift it up and get to everything underneath, but we'll see how we go. All right, so I've just pulled out the stuff in the back. So this is basically what I'm trying to build lids to get into. Just traced pencil around, and what I'm going to do is just mark where those are, sort of draw it on the timber and then see how it looks. Okay, so I've roughly traced out the outline of that. Hopefully measured everything pretty well. Marked with X's the bits I'm throwing out. So with those, I'm going to cut more into the X, sort of there. Then I can put it on top, try and reach underneath with the pencil, shade what I need to trim. And that way I shouldn't cut off too much. And then when I've done that one, which will be the bottom piece, the next piece I'll put on top, trace it out, and then cut a little bit further out. And that should hopefully sit on this piece. So at the moment they're screwed together, so I'll pull them apart and get the jigsaw out. All right, one thing I've done before getting the jigsaw out, which you don't need to do, but I'm hoping it helps, is get the hole saw, put a bunch of holes where my corners are, and hopefully that makes it easier to cut, as I'm not very good with the jigsaw. Okay, so rough cut, left the middle, as that should be pretty accurate, and I can flip it upside down and do that last. Stuffed up a little bit there and cut a little bit too much, but luckily it shouldn't make too much of a difference. So I'm just going to get a marker and go around the edges here so I know how much I need to trim off, and then probably use like a combination of a router, maybe a jigsaw if there's some bigger spots, and a sander to try and get it as tight and as close as I possibly can. So wish me luck. Right, you can see the real, quote unquote, real lines I need to cut out. I couldn't quite get into here with my texter, so after I've cut out everything else, I'm just going to get a rasp to clean that up. And again, I'll probably cut and leave a little bit and then use a rasp to do the rest, and leave a bit for sanding as well, because it's a bit sharp at the moment. Okay, definitely won't be winning any cabinetry awards, but this should probably do. Just file down, make it a bit smoother so I don't cut myself. And then I'll trace out the underside, cut that out, and then I'll do these big pieces last, I think. Oh, actually no, I'll have to cut this out first, then trace the other side. Yep. Yeah, as you can see, cut out the stencils and the little lids for the compartments. Fits in quite nicely. Let's go down to Bunnings, get some more black spray paint and also some carpet. So I'm just going to measure this up to see how much carpet I need and then move on from there. So everything's painted and dry enough, I think. Just got some spray adhesive to get this carpet on. Bit sus just because it is a bit porous whether it's going to hold very well, but given what it's being used for, it probably doesn't need a super tight bond. I am tempted to just do this edge, this side, then come back and do the top, but I'm going to try and do both at once. And I've got all those weight plates over there that I'll stick down to try and get it to carpet well. So I'm going to leave my lids in and rely on feeling the edge with the knife. And hopefully that works. Otherwise it's going to be a fun time trying to cut them out, but it should be okay. Once I find the edge, just run a knife blade along it and it should cut out really simply, but we'll see what happens. Unsurprisingly, the spray adhesive didn't work too well. So we got some Selleys Quick Grip. That seemed to do the job. So I'm just going to pop it all in my car and see what it looks like. At this stage, I've only got one side carpeted. I reckon I've probably got enough scrap to do, but I'll wait till I've done my weights tomorrow, just so I can use that space to use the weights to put on top and get the glue to set. So this is the 90% finished project, so I'm going to put the underside of those and probably sand just to make them go in a little bit easier. Had some spare timber, put a shelf up there with a bit of a lip so I can store other stuff that I grab more frequently, and still enough room underneath to put stuff in. And these simply pop up and out like so. So I've got some sockets. This one, got my big gun for changing my tyres and my skate tool. I don't think there's anything in that one. Dunny paper and tissues. And then there's a couple of the bits to change my car tyre. I was tempted to cut out that so I can get my car tyre out without removing anything, but I think with this shelf that should be fine. I can just put stuff up on there instead of having to take them out of the boot. If it does happen that I need to change it and I still need to take it out of the boot, then yes, I will try and cut that out as best I can. I was a little bit worried it wouldn't be structurally integral enough, but as this is just ply, I'll just make a new one, worst case scenario.